Hello, in this presentation, we are going to give some outlines on the toxicology. That's the introduction to toxicology. Of course, it's introduction to veterinary toxicology also. The word toxicology is derived from the Greek word toxikon, which means a poison. Thus, toxicology literally means a study of the poisons. It can be defined as the study of poisons and their harmful effects on the living organisms. It includes sources of the poisons, their identification, physicochemical properties of the toxicity, including the median lethal dose or LD50, the factors affecting the toxicity, toxicokinetics, toxicodynamics, the clinical signs of the toxicology, and postmortem changes, histopathology, diagnosis including differential diagnosis, analytical procedures or the analytical toxicology, and the principles of treatment of the conditions that they cause. Like this, it's a very broad term. Toxicology is a very broad term consisting of so many topics. Hence, it also includes the study of special effects of the toxicants such as the carcinogenesis, the teratogenesis, the mutagenesis, immunotoxicity, neurotoxicity, reproductive toxicity, and ecotoxicity or ecotoxicology. Like that, many terminologies are there in the toxicology. And let us deal or describe the individual terminologies. Like the first one is the toxicity. It may be defined as the inherent capacity of the substance to produce toxic effects or detrimental changes on an organism. The another term is the toxicosis. It is the state resulting from exposure to a poison, and this term is being used interchangeably with poisoning or intoxication. So both of these can be used as synonym to one and another. And next is the toxins. Toxins are toxicants or poisonous substances liberated, produced by the living organisms, and are generally not well defined chemically. So these are the substances produced by living organisms, and generally they are not well defined chemically, and these also termed as the biotoxins. Means bio means life and toxins. So these are derived from the life. Depending upon their origin, these are grouped differently as the phytotoxins, which are derived from the plants or plant based toxins, and mycotoxins are the one which are derived from the fungus, and the zootoxins are the toxins of lower animals, and the buffotoxins are the toxins from the toads, and snake venom is the venom or the toxin derived from the snakes, and the bacterial toxins liberated by the bacterial cells, which are further classified into two types. One is the endotoxin, found within or as a part of the bacterial cells, and exotoxins. These are elaborated from bacterial cells. And the next terminology is toxinology. It is the branch of the toxicology that deals with the study of toxic effect of the toxin. So, to repeat again, it is the branch of the toxicology that deals with the study of toxic effects of the toxins. Then, what is a hazard or risk? So, it is the likelihood of poisoning of living organisms after exposure to a particular toxicant. It is the probability of poisoning of the living organisms or any living creature after exposure to a particular toxicant. A highly toxic chemical may not be much hazardous at the least toxic chemical. Then that's the toxicology is emerging subdisciplines and their interrelationships, biomedical and other sciences. So the clinical toxicology, it is the study of the effects of poisons or toxicants on human beings, animals and other living organisms, and also their diagnosis and treatment and methods for their detection. And the next terminology is toxicoepidemiology. This refers to the study of quantitative analysis of toxicity incidences in organisms, factors affecting toxicity, species involved, and use of such knowledge in planning of prevention and control strategies. So, toxicoepidemiology is one of the type of the epidemiology of toxicity, and nutrition toxicology is the one which is a study of toxicological aspects of food or feedstuffs and nutritional habits. The next one is the environmental toxicology. It is the study of effects of toxicants, whether used apply purposefully, or example pesticides and herbicides. They have a very specific purpose. That's the pesticides are used against the what you call as the pests, maybe the insects and other things, whereas the herbicides are the one which are used to destroy the herbs. Or the continuation is also as industrial effluents or pollutants contamination on health of the organisms and the environment. So totally the environmental toxicology is a broad term which defines the toxicants, whether used or applied purposefully, or industrial effluents or pollutants or contaminants in the environment, which is deleterious to the living organisms. Next terminology is the analytical toxicology. It is the application of analytical chemistry tools in qualitative and quantitative estimation of the agents involved in the process of toxicity. The occupation toxicology is the study of occupational hazards associated with individuals working in particular industry, occupation, and their correlation with the possible toxicants and also the possible remedial measures. So this is the ecotoxicology. The ecotoxicology is the study of the fate and effects of toxic substances in the ecosystem. So totally it is in the ecosystem. Regulatory toxicology is one of the important terminologies. It is the conduct of toxicological studies as per the content and characteristic of studies design prescribed by regulatory authorities or regulatory agencies. FDA or Food and Drug Administration is a regulatory authority, or OECD is also a regulatory authority. So the forensic toxicology is the study of unlawful use of the toxic agents and their detection of judicial purposes. Means it is the unlawful use of the toxic agents and their detection for the judicial use, or whenever there is a malicious poisoning, means a purposeful poisoning, at that time the content of the stomach or intestine or whatever it may be, it is collected and sent to the forensic laboratory or the regional forensic laboratories, which later the report of which will be considered as an evidence in the court of law. So this is the one which dealing with the judicial purpose. Reproductive toxicology, as the name indicates, it is the study of the occurrence of adverse effects on the male or female reproductive system due to exposure to chemical or physical agents. And the developmental toxicology is the study of adverse effects or effects on the developing organisms occurring any time during the lifespan of the organism due to exposure to chemicals or physical agents before conception, during prenatal development, or postnatally till the time of the puberty. So developmental toxicology is the study of the adverse effects of the developing organisms any time of the lifespan of the organism due to exposure of the chemical before conception, means when the fetus is in the womb, either parent or the offspring during prenatal development, then postnatally till the time of the puberty. Next is the teratology. It is study of malformation induced by toxic agents during development between conception and birth. Here The teratology is the one, the terminology used for malformation induced by toxic agents during the development period between conception and the birth. Toxicokinetics, everybody is well aware that it's a process of absorption, distribution, biotransformation and excretion of toxicants in relation to time. That's what body does to the poison with relation to a specific time is known as the toxicokinetics, or kinetics means the movement of the substances. So this is related to absorption, distribution, metabolism and excretion, or ADME in short, of the toxicant, or in simple terms what body does to the poison or the toxicant is a toxicokinetics. Toxicodynamics, it refers to the study of biochemical and physiological effects of toxicants and their mechanism of action, and comprises the sequence of events following interaction of the toxicants with target molecules, or else simply it can be summarized as what the drug does to the body is known as toxicodynamics, what the body does to the drug is toxicokinetics. And types of the poisoning or the toxicity. Poisoning and toxicity, many times they are used as synonyms, and some of the common terms used while describing toxicology are the toxic dose. So it is the lowest dose of a toxicant which produces toxic effects in living organisms. Lethal dose, it is the lowest dose of a toxicant which causes lethality or death in animals during observation period. So here there will be a fixed observation period, and at that time the lowest dose of a toxicant which causes lethality or death in the animals, that's known as the lethal dose. And median lethal dose, it is the dose of a toxicant which produces lethality in 50% of the population of the animals exposed to a particular agent or a compound, or otherwise it is also known as the LD50, lethal dose 50 is defined as the effect of lethality of a substance which causes mortality in the 50% of the population of the animals. Acute toxicity results from exposure of the organisms relatively high doses of a compound, usually single dose or exposure over a period of a short period, or it may be a few days, and symptoms of toxicity are here more severe. That's why it's known as the acute toxicity. The next one is the subacute toxicity. It refers to the appearance of a mild form of the toxicity symptoms following repeated administration of exposure of the relatively low doses or small amounts of the poisons, at least it's 90 days. Of course, this is an old definition as per the Organization of Economic Cooperation and Development, that's OECD. Now many of these have been altered. The toxicity symptoms develop in the subacute toxicity very gradually, or also these tests are performed to establish a no observed adverse effect level, or it's also termed as NOAEL, or no observed effect level, NOEL, and to identify the specific organs affected by the test compound after repeated administration. So here NOEL is defined as the largest dose that will produce no deleterious effects when administered over a given period of a time. Here it is the largest dose of a toxicant or a chemical which will not produce any deleterious effects when administered to a living substance during a given period of time. Chronic toxicity, it is a very mild form of the toxicity syndrome following long-term repeated exposure to relatively low doses of the poisons over a prolonged period of time, generally It may be 6 months or more. So to conduct the chronic toxicity, so many guidelines are already in the area of the toxicology, and it is being referred for while conducting the toxicity tests. Here the onset of toxicity is very gradual, often appearing first as a decline in feed intake or weight gain, etc. A mild clinical signs will be seen in the initial stage, which is progressive in nature. Then the mutagenicity is the ability of an agent to induce mutation, or ability of an agent to induce mutation or changes through a change in the genotype or genetic material of cell by covalent modification basis in DNA, particularly one in of the DNA which passes on when the cell divides, or else the mutagenicity is the capacity of a substance to produce mutation or the changes in the DNA structure. Such agents are termed as the mutagens. Example, formaldehyde and cresols and many other substances are having the mutagenic effect. Then the another term, it's also known as carcinogenicity. A very less difference is there. It is the ability of the compound or the toxicon to transform normal cell into progressively and uncontrollably proliferating ones and resulting into neoplasm or cancer. So it is the ability of a compound or the toxicon to transform normal cell into a cancer cell or a tumor cell, and generally any substance show to induce cancer or neoplasm is termed as carcinogen, and so many carcinogens are there in the particular earth, and they are like cadmium, methyl chloranthrins and the soot. And teratogenicity is the one, it is the ability of the agent to induce cross structural or anatomical or physiological malformations in developing fetus during gestation period only. So depending upon the gestation period of the animal, during that gestation period, it is going to cause the structural or anatomical defect. The word teratology is the study of congenital defect, is derived from the Greek word terans, which means a monster. Such agents are termed as the teratogens. Example is the thalidomide and methotrexate, colchicines, corticosteroids or cortisone, and acute principles of certain plants like veratrum alkaloids and lupus caudatus, oxytropis myricata, etc. So many teratogens are present. And allergy or hypersensitivity, it's a well defined factor. It's immunologically mediated reaction of a subject to a previously sensitization by same or structurally similar chemicals or poison allergens. Example, the hypersensitivity, which is type 1 hypersensitivity induced by the penicillin, is a very good example, and tubocurarine, salicylates, etc. they are also going to cause the allergy or hypersensitivity. Or is also intolerance to a drug. Compared to the human beings, incidence of allergic reaction is far less in case of, especially in case of cattle, and the data are very scanty. And another terminology is idiosyncrasy. It is genetically determined qualitatively abnormal reaction of a subject to a poison or a drug. So idiosyncrasy is unexpected reaction to a substances. Suppose we are administering some of the drug to many animals in a population, then only 1 or 2 animals will exhibit the signs of the toxicity. That's the called as the idiosyncrasy. And in this case, out of large segment of a population, very few of the subjects may respond differently from the rest of the individuals. All of the individuals, in the majority, they respond equally, whereas the few out of this particular herd are responding to the different type of the response. So the example is the individual deficient in glucose 6 phosphate dehydrogenase suffer with hemolytic crisis following administration of anti-malarial drugs, and the barbiturates, griseofulvin, chlorates and glycosides from the broad beans, etc. So this is an unusual response of the substance to a toxicant. That's known as the idiosyncrasy. Targets and mode of actions of the poisons. So the poisons or any drug or to act, it require many type of the targets in the body, maybe in the cellular level or enzymatic level or amino acid level, and maybe there are so many targets in the body. And the first target is the enzymes. Example, organophosphate compounds produce toxicity through inhibition of cholinesterase hydrochloric acid by cytochrome oxidase, lead via inhibition of membrane bound sodium potassium ATPase, and delta levulinic acid synthetase in the ferrochelates, etc. in case of the lead poisoning. And the toxicants are also going to act on the ion channels. Example, the chlorinated hydrocarbon insecticides, examples are the DDT, aldrin, and the pyrethroids like deltamethrin, cypermethrin, so many pyrethroids. The tetrodotoxin is going to block the ion channel, saxitoxin through sodium channels. And the toxicants are also going to act on the blood constituents like hemoglobin by the nitrates and nitrites and the chlorates. And also the erythrocytes are affected by carbon monoxide. And the nucleic acid is also targeted by the aflatoxins, mutagenic and carcinogenic agents, and radiation hazards. The bone marrow is targeted by chloramphenicals during this X-ray radiation and radiations. And bone cartilage and joints like the fluoroquinolones. Liver, example, carbon tetrachloride, chloroform, paracetamol in high dose, and lantadines and pyrrolizidine alkaloids. So these, among these things, the lantadine and the paracetamol, they are very well known substances which are going to cause the hepatic damage. And kidney is also targeted by many of the toxicants to cause the toxicity, like the lead, a heavy metal like the lead, the mercurial sites, and in the antibiotic, aminoglycoside antibiotics are one which are going to cause a severe kidney toxicity or nephrotoxicity. And hemopoietic system, example, the benzene, lead, and some snake venom, they are going to act on the hemopoietic system. And on central nervous system, many toxicants are going to act, especially the heavy metals like lead, mercury, and some of the drugs like barbiturates and strychnine, etc. They are going to cause the degenerative changes or some changes in the central nervous system. And the factors are affecting the toxicity, so many factors are going to act on the animal, like the dose is the one which determines the occurrence and magnitude of the effects, depends upon the amount of the substance absorbed into the circulation, especially in the blood, and further depends upon the dose, total dose of the drug administered to the animals. Dose is the one, it's a unit, it is expressed in maybe in milligram, grams, or the ml, like that, and it determines the magnitude of effects on amount of the substance absorbed into the bloodstream, and further depends upon the dose, total dose administered. Thus, the higher the level of the exposure, more intense the toxicity. So to simplify, if more and more quantity of the drug or the chemical is administered, more and more responses we will get. And depending upon the dose and agent used, it may produce therapeutic, toxic, or lethal effects. Second one is the factor physicochemical properties of the toxicant is also a factor that's affecting the toxicity. So the toxicity depends on physical state of the compounds. So like the toxic material may be in gas, liquid, solid, coarse or finely powdered, substances. So it is depending upon the state of the compound and also the solubility, whether it's completely soluble, oil soluble, or some other solvent soluble. A compound in solid state is less toxic than the powdered form. Finely powdered forms are more toxic compared to the coarse powders, and gaseous forms are more toxic than liquid or the solid forms. The nature of the solvent vehicle in the present situation, form is an important in case of toxicology. Example, the dermal application of insecticides in aqueous form is less toxic, whereas in case of oily preparations, the pesticides will penetrate the cutaneous tissue very fastly and cause much more toxicity when compared to the aqueous form. And nature of the exposure or the mode of exposure is intensity of poisoning depends upon whether the animal is exposed to a single or it is being administered with multiple time or multiple doses. Generally, several low doses of the poisons will be more effective in producing toxicity than a single moderate dose, particularly in the cumulative type of the poisons like lead, then fluorine, DDT, copper, etc. These are the cumulative poisons. They are going to accumulate, especially the copper is going to accumulate in case of kidneys over a period of time, and also the lead, which is going to accumulate in bone marrows, and the DDT and other fluoride, etc. they are going to accumulate in the fat tissue. In cumulative toxicity, toxic manifestations are not immediate, rather quite they are delayed. Example is the carcinogenicity or the mutagenicity, and radiation hazards, fluorosis, etc. are the examples. And poisoning may be categorized as acute, subacute, subchronic, and chronic, once again on the exposure of the chemical or less than up to 24 hours, repeated exposure or less than 1 or month, between 1 to 3 months and more than 3 months respectively. Here acute toxicity means less than or up to 24 hours, subacute repeated exposure for less than 1 month, between 1 to 3 months, whereas the chronic toxicity and more than 3 months is the chronic toxicity. And sometimes resistant tolerance develops when subjects are repeatedly exposed to a certain compounds. Example, the barbiturates, opiates, and many sedatives are going to develop the tolerance. And another factor affecting the toxicity is route of the exposure. It determines the rate and extent of absorption following extravascular route of the exposure. Example, the DDT is about equally toxic to insects and mammals when given parenterally, but when applied externally, it is considerably more toxic to insects, as the chitinous exoskeleton of the insects is more permeable to DDT than mammalian skin. Here it's a selective type of the toxicity, because the route of toxicity is very, very important. Suppose we are using a pesticide or insecticide on an insect, because of the chitinous exoskeleton, more and more toxicant is absorbed through it rather than the oral application. And the age is also one of the important criteria. Very young and very old subjects are more susceptible to the effects of the poisons, because the age is important determinant of the biotransformation of the xenobiotics. Here the liver of or the biotransformation organ is the liver of a kid or a infant is not well developed properly, hence its capacity to detoxify a toxicant is less. Whereas in case of the geriatric or old persons, the liver enzymes are exhausted and they cannot metabolize the toxicant to the greater extent. The mechanism of detoxification and excretion are not fully developed in case of young ones, whether the old subjects have less efficient detoxifying and over-creating excreting mechanisms. The biochemical background of age-dependent biotransformation is differences are cellular changes in the development of endoplasmic reticulum and components of the cytoplasmic these P450 systems. Some of the drug includes the toxicity of neonates. Example, chloramphenicol induced gray baby syndrome in humans is due to inadequate conjugation with glucuronic acid, as infants are deficient in glucuronil transferase. So, the elder ones and the infants, both of these subjects do have the less capacity to detoxify a poison, hence they are more susceptible. And sex, generally females are more susceptible to the action of the poisons, and this sex related difference in biotransformation of xenobiotics are due to a combination of many factors like hormones, enzymes, etc., because there is a change in the structure of the hormones and the enzymes in between two sexes like male and female. And some of the cytochrome P450 enzymes have been found to sex dependent. Compared to male rats, females are more sensitive to red squill. It's a poison, red squill, and parathion toxicity. And some of the agents having teratogenic potential are not given to pregnant animals or women. Example is the thalidomide, and the plant like the veratrum species and lupinus. And another thing is the castration increases the susceptibility of male to a poison, and administration of testosterone in female increases their resistance of poisoning. So, in case of bullocks, they are more susceptible to a poison, and the administration of testosterone to the cows increases their resistance to the poisons. Therefore, testosterone appears to play an important role in making the males less susceptible to the action of the poisons. And these sex-dependent variation in effects of the poisons are more pronounced in laboratory animals like the rats and mice. However, these appear to be less significant in case of human beings and other species of the animals. Then, the species of the animals is also another important factor. Toxicological effects of the poison vary quantitatively and qualitatively from species to species, and suggest data from one species should not be extrapolated for another species. Example, we are doing the test of the substance in case of rats, rabbits, guinea pigs and dogs, and we are extrapolating the things. That is not an appropriate method, but we do not have any other choice, because the mammals and birds can synthesize vitamin C, ascorbic acid, while the primates, guinea pigs and fruit eating bats and birds need exogenous administration of the vitamin C, and these species lack the biosynthetic pathway of the ascorbic acid. Hence, this is the biotransformation mechanism is differing from species to species, and that's why the metabolism of a drug varies from one animal to the another animals. That's why the LD50 value for highly toxic dioxin 2,3,7 tetrachlorobenzene P-dioxin differs more than 1,000-fold between guinea pigs and hamsters because of the change in the enzymatic system or the metabolism system. And another example is belladonna is toxic for all species of animal except the rabbits, because the rabbits have got the atropinase or enzyme, and the red squill is toxic to rats but not to the dogs, and sheep are more susceptible to chronic copper poisoning. And all the above mentioned examples suggest that it should be mandatory that toxicological data should be generated in different target species of the animals, and some of the species dependent difference in toxicity have been attributed to difference in biotransformation reactions. Example, dogs and foxes do not acetylate aromatic amines, and as these are deficient in N-acetyl transferase, so the drugs which are administered to many animals may act in different pattern. And whereas the another domestic animal, that is the cats, are deficient in glucuronil transferase. So any drug which is metabolized by this glucuronil transferase will act more potentially on cats. And the guinea pigs do not form mercapturic acid conjugates, and pigs do not form ethyl sulfate. So this makes a lot of difference between the metabolic pattern or metabolism of a chemical when it enters the body. And apart from this one, the another factor which affects toxicity is genetic differences. There are a lot of genetic differences between the strains within one species have been observed in the man, the rats and mice due to certain enzymatic abnormalities, or it's the difference in the enzyme structures and its functions. And genetic differences in the biotransformation of xenobiotics have been observed in human beings, as single gene has been found to regulate the oxidative mechanism of large number of compounds. So the genetic differences is due to the differences in the enzymatic state and also many other systems from one animal to another animal. And the another factor which influences the toxicity is pathological condition. Pathology means abnormal functioning of an organ or dysfunctioning of an organ. And the biotransformation and excretory capacity of the body is altered during disease state due to the change in the physiological and functional ability of the liver, kidneys, lungs, heart, intestinal wall, intestinal flora, etc. Thus, the weak and debilitated animals are more vulnerable to the action of the poison because many of their enzymes and the hormones, etc., are less functional when compared to the healthy ones. And the constipation increases the toxicity of orally administered or ingested toxicants due to enhanced absorption as passage of toxicants is delayed. So in many of the toxicities or poisonings, the animal develops the constipation, and this further increases the absorption of the toxicants from the intestine. That's why if an animal is suffering from the constipation, we should give the purgatives. And concurrent exposure, if the animal or human beings are being simultaneously exposed to some other drugs or xenobiotics like pesticides, heavy metals or environmental pollutants present in the oil, air, water or food, so many type of these chemicals, hepatic microsomal enzyme activity may be increased or decreased, and accordingly the detoxifying mechanisms get induced or suppressed and influence the toxicity of a substance. So this is the exposure of a chemical to the hepatic microenzymes, either they are induced or they are suppressed. Accordingly, the drug action is increased or decreased. Metabolism of offending xenobiotics may be accelerated or retarded depending on induction or inhibition suppression of hepatic microsomal conjugation enzymes. Thus, on concurrent exposure, the phenomenon of potentiation, synergism and antagonism may be observed. So, let us learn what is an enzyme induction and inhibition. So, enzyme induction is defined as the qualitative change in the metabolism of xenobiotics, generally as a result of repeated exposure to the same or other xenobiotics due to increase in the biosynthesis of an enzyme rather than increased activity. Here, the hepatic microsomal enzyme systems are continuously being affected by a chemical for repeated exposures. Then here the capacity biosynthesis of the enzyme is increased than its activity, and the enzyme inhibition is, or also it's known as enzyme suppression. Certain xenobiotics and drugs may bind to active site of the enzyme and retard the metabolic processing of other xenobiotics. This phenomenon is known as enzyme suppression or inhibition, and such agents are known as the enzyme inhibitors. So many examples of the enzyme inhibitors are there. By these we are going to end this particular topic is concerned, and thank you very much for your patient hearing.